Hello and welcome to Fort Dunlop, home to the Birmingham Post and Mail. Today I'm happy to be joined by former Conservative Party leader, now Shadow Foreign Secretary, William Hague. William, thanks for coming in to talk to us today.
It's a pleasure.
If I can start talking about, it's broken in the last few hours, Julie Kirkbride, Conservative MP for Bromsgrove, has announced she's standing down at the next general election.
Yes.
Should she have gone several days ago when this story broke?
Well, I suppose with hindsight, it's easy to say that or think that. Of course, she was getting the views of her constituents. I think that's one of the reasons why she has stood down, because it seemed a lot of people wanted her to stand down. And I think it's taken some days for that to be absolutely clear in her constituency. So I think it's understandable that she's made the announcement today and didn't do so a few days ago.
How much damage do you think she's caused the Conservative Party by hanging around for these extra couple of days?
Well, the whole expenses scandal, I think, has damaged all of the political parties. And, of course, there are now some celebrated cases within each party, whether it be Margaret Moran of the Labour Party in Luton, and then there's Julie Kirkbride, as you say, Conservative in Bromsgrove. And I think that does damage the entire political system. I think what I'm finding in these elections, I've just been to Worcester and to Solihull in the last few hours, I've met hundreds of people on the streets, is they are very angry about the MP's expenses scandal and individual cases, including Julie Kirkbride. But they are also not forgetting there are some other issues in these elections about whether we should have a referendum on Europe, about how we get a general election, because people really want a general election now. So, yes, it's done some damage. But I think as long as we show we're cleaning up the political system now, in which David Cameron has taken the lead, then it's possible for our politics to recover from that.
David Cameron has come out strongly in support of her. He's written a letter strongly defending Julie Kirkbride. What do you think about her?
Oh, there's no doubt she's had a good record as an MP. I've been there to events in her constituency in the past, and people have been really full of praises, before this expenses scandal. And she's been a personal friend of mine for a long time. So it's a personal tragedy when this happens to somebody, but we all take responsibility for our own actions in politics. And no individual is more important than the health of our democracy, than making sure people have got the choice of candidates that they want at an election. So we all have to respect that in the end, including Julie.
So do you agree with what David Cameron said today?
Of course I agree with what David Cameron said, but I entirely understand and support the decision that Julie Kirkbride has taken, yeah.
OK. It's also been disclosed today that Tory MP Sir John Butterfield paid no capital gains tax after making a £600,000 gain on the sale of his taxpayer-funded house. In your opinion, should he go as well? Yes or no?
Well, he's going at the next election. He's already retiring at the next election. So I don't think.
You don't think he should go now?
I think if all the MPs caught up in this and all the parties immediately resigned and caused by-elections, then I think we really would have chaos. Gordon Brown tried to say last week that a general election would cause chaos. Of course, a general election wouldn't cause chaos. It would give people a choice about their government. But I think if every MP, where would we be if every MP who had any allegations about them, true or false, caused a by-election? I think that would be a pretty confusing situation.
This is pretty extraordinary times, though, isn't it? I mean, we've had 7 Tories who've now stepped down over this issue. We're already in a pretty chaotic situation. How many more Tories do you think will go before this is all over?
I don't know. I imagine there will be more, and I think there will be more in other parties too. As I said, this is something that has affected all the parties. The Conservatives have acted the most decisively in saying there will be the online publication of all expenses in future, and indeed now we've already embarked on that on the Conservative front bench. But I think there will be more, and it's one of the reasons, part of the answer is to have a general election. I think this Parliament now has no moral authority. It's in any case in the 5th year now of a maximum 5-year term. And I think one of the things I've really found out on the streets today is that people do want a general election. That's the answer, not for individual MPs to cause by-elections. It is for a general election to take place so that people can have their say about individual MPs, but about the future of the country, who should be the government of the country as well.
But in terms of this issue of expenses, is that the answer? Is that going to renew the confidence? I mean, this seems to have caused serious damage to the reputation of MPs.
It has caused very serious damage. There is no doubt about that. And I think it is an essential part of the answer to have a new Parliament with new rules as well, and people being able to vote in that general election, knowing the full published expenses of their members of Parliament, which of course is going to take place shortly on top of the Daily Telegraph as the official publication of all this to take place. And there's nothing to stop Gordon Brown saying now that there'll be an election in July when that publication has taken place and people can immediately pass judgment on their members of Parliament and indeed also determine the future course of the country and who is in government.
Is there anything in Mr Hague's expenses claims that you're worried that might be coming out in the next few days?
Evidently not. I think the Daily Telegraph have been through all. They pronounced mine straightforward. So that's hopefully what
nothing else going to come out on that front.
Yeah. No, I'm one of those MPs who is astonished by all these claims for furniture and things like that. It's never occurred to me in 20 years that the allowances were meant to be used for things like that.
What would you say the most extravagant thing you've claimed for is?
I don't think I hope I've never claimed for anything extravagant. That's not my style. I'm from Yorkshire, remember. And I don't believe in extravagance. The things I found the most astonishing, really, include this payment of accountants out of taxpayers' money to sort out tax affairs. I'm absolutely flabbergasted that MPs have done that, as well as some of the claims for duck islands or expensive furnishings and television screens. I think half of the House of Commons had no idea that was all going on, and the other half clearly have been doing it.
Yeah, and the reaction of including the Speaker, of some MPs who perhaps just don't get why this is seen as such a bad thing, has that shocked you as well?
Yes, although I think the penny has dropped on that score now. I think MPs have got the message that this has caused a crisis of public confidence in our political system and huge anger that particularly at a time of recession or of people finding it very difficult in many ways that some MPs have abused the system in this way. But I think that point has now been accepted in the House of Commons and there is a determination, hopefully across parties, following the lead David Cameron gave, as I mentioned, to make sure none of these things can happen again in the future.